Hello and welcome. All right, let's just jump right into a mystery that I think every single one of us has experienced. Picture this. You're lying in bed, it's late, and bam, you are just on fire with incredible ideas. Tomorrow, you think, tomorrow is the day it all changes. And then the morning comes, and all that amazing motivation is just gone.
It is such a frustrating cycle, isn't it? You feel like you've become a totally different person overnight. So, where does that incredible drive actually go? And, more importantly, how do we get it back when we really, really need it?
This quote just nails the feeling, doesn't it? Full of fire, then running on empty. But here's the secret, and it's a big one. If this happens to you, it's not because you're lazy or undisciplined. Nope, it's something else entirely.
So, today, we're going to solve this mystery together. Here's our roadmap. We'll start with the mystery itself, then we'll find your brain's hidden switch. After that, we'll get into the incredible power of small wins, how to build a system that actually works for you, and how to deal with that nasty inner critic. And finally, we'll talk about the first tiny step you can take tonight.
So first up, the midnight motivation mystery. Why we make these huge promises to ourselves that seem to evaporate by morning. Let's be clear. This isn't a personal failure. It's a totally shared human experience. We all make these bold promises when the world is quiet, only to feel like they're impossible when the sun comes up. Trust me, you are not alone in this.
And that leads us right to our second point, your brain's hidden switch. See, the answer here isn't about finding more willpower. It's about understanding that this whole thing isn't a flaw in your character. There is a real biological reason your motivation vanishes, like a hidden switch in your brain that flips between night and day. Okay, so here's what's actually going on. At night, your prefrontal cortex, that's basically your brain's worry and second-guessing center, it quiets way down. This makes you feel braver, more creative, more hopeful. Big goals seem totally possible. But in the morning, your body floods your system with cortisol, the stress hormone, to wake you up. This shoves your brain into protect mode, making those exact same goals feel risky and overwhelming. It's not you. It's just biology at work. So the goal isn't to fight your own biology. That's a losing battle. The real goal is to tap into our natural built-in drive. We're talking about intrinsic motivation. That's when you do something for the pure joy of it, not for some external reward. That's the feeling we're trying to get back to. And it's so important to understand that motivation isn't just an on or off switch. It's more like a spectrum or a continuum. It ranges all the way from being non-self-determined, doing things because of outside pressure, to being fully self-determined, driven by that deep intrinsic joy. The secret is just to nudge ourselves a little further along that scale. So how do we actually do that? Well, that brings us to our third and maybe most important point. The power of small wins. This is the real secret to momentum. We need to stop chasing the feeling of motivation and start building something way more reliable. Small wins. They sound, small. But here's the magic. Every time you complete one, even a tiny one, your brain releases a little bit of dopamine. That's that feel-good chemical. It makes you feel accomplished and confident, and it creates this amazing feedback loop that makes the next step feel so much easier. And this isn't just some nice idea. This has a huge real-world impact. Get this. A McKinsey study found that 82% of employees who have a strong sense of purpose are highly engaged. And how do you build that purpose? One small win at a time. They reinforce the belief that, yes, you are capable. Okay, a fantastic way to put this into practice is something called the Seinfeld strategy. Yeah, the comedian Jerry Seinfeld. He used this to stay consistent with writing jokes. It's so simple. You get a big calendar, you pick one small task, and every single day you do it, you put a big red X over that day. After a few days, you've got a chain, and from then on, your only job is to not break the chain. That visual progress is incredibly motivating. And all of this, it builds into a much bigger idea, which is our fourth section, building your motivation system. The goal here is to make taking action easier than doing nothing. Truly successful people don't have some secret reserve of willpower. They just have better systems. They literally design their environment to make action the easy choice. This is the key takeaway right here. It is so important. Stop blaming yourself for a lack of motivation or willpower. Instead, become an architect. Build a system that supports you, especially on those days when you're running on empty. So here are a few brilliant, kind of unconventional tools for your toolkit. Chunking is just breaking huge projects into tiny, non-scary pieces. Productive procrastination, love this one, is doing a fun, easy task right before a big one you're avoiding. You can also just change your workspace for a little bubble tea. Or end your day with a quiet, screen-free reflection. But my favorite? The distractions list. Any random thought pops into your head, just jot it down to deal with later. It keeps you so focused. But even with the absolute best system in the world, there is one final hurdle. And that brings us to section 5, quieting your inner critic. Or as I like to think of it, overcoming the final boss. Because that negative voice in our heads can sabotage everything before we even start. Oh, you know this voice, don't you? We all do. It knows all of our deepest fears and insecurities. It's the voice of every past failure, and it's trying to protect you from getting disappointed again. But all it really does is keep you stuck. Now, our first instinct is to argue with that voice, right? But that just gives it more power. Here's a much better way. First, name it. Seriously, give it a silly name like the Doubter or Captain Worry Pants. This creates distance. And second, thank it. Just gently say, hey, thanks for trying to keep me safe, but I've got this. You just acknowledge the voice without believing it, and boom, you take all its power away. Okay, we have covered the why and the how. So let's get to our final section, your first small step, and how you can start tonight. It is time to turn all this theory into real action. And remember, this is not about a massive, stressful life overhaul. Not at all. It is all about setting up a tiny, tiny win for your future self. Making one small change the night before, back when you're feeling hopeful and motivated. Here is your plan. It's so easy. First, pick one tiny, laughably simple goal for tomorrow. I'm talking put on running shoes, not run a marathon, or write one sentence. Second, write it down on a sticky note. Make it real. And third, this is the key, set a friendly trap for yourself. Put that note on your phone, your alarm clock, right by the coffee machine, somewhere your tired, groggy morning self cannot possibly ignore it. So I will leave you with this one question. Forget about changing your entire life tomorrow. Instead, right now, what is the smallest, kindest promise you can make and actually keep for yourself tonight? Because that is where it all begins.